Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've done my last rating by difficulty video and I thought it's probably time to do another one before I get too many puzzles and it's gonna be just too hard to rate them. Even the ones that I've got now, it's really hard to rate them because obviously some of the puzzles I do in my own time, leisurely, so it's a completely different experience than doing it for a video, because when I'm doing a puzzling video, it's just, I don't know, there's just a little bit more pressure on it when I'm puzzling, I guess. So what I'm doing today is basically rating all the puzzles I've done since the last rating by difficulty video. I'm gonna do the same as last time, so I basically divided all of the puzzles I got into 3 piles. So I've got the easy pile, the medium pile and the hard pile. And yeah, I think it's time to begin now. The easiest puzzle of today's video is gonna have to be the one that's got the least count. So I'm gonna start with the 200-piece puzzle from Ravensburger, and the title of this one is Mixtape. It's part of Puzzle Moment collection and they have many 200 and 300-piece puzzles within this collection. So on the box it says it's supposed to take you 40 minutes, it only took me 20. It was really easy to put together, you just basically had to follow the colours of the tapes, and then the gradient in the back of the picture helped as well. Also it's Ravensburger, so you know that the quality was good, which again also helps when putting the puzzle together. So yeah, this one was by far the easiest one of today's video. The second puzzle for today is also a smaller count piece puzzle. I don't actually have the box for this one because it's a really old puzzle. I have it from my primary school years. It's a 300-piece puzzle by Ravensburger and the title of this one is Sweet Dreams. It was really easy to put together. I've done this one without seeing the picture and it wasn't difficult. I actually accidentally put it together upside down as well. So still wasn't hard. Again, it's Ravensburger, which means that the piece cut helps as well when putting the puzzle together. But yeah, this one wasn't long, I think probably about half an hour to 40 minutes. A quick and easy one. The next puzzle I have for you is also a smaller count puzzle, which is normal because obviously the higher the count, the more difficult the puzzle. So the next one in line is 500-piece puzzle by Prime 3D Puzzle, and this one doesn't actually have a title. I tried to look for it so many times, it just says Harry Potter on it. You would think that because it's 3D that it's gonna make it a lot harder, but honestly when I was putting it together it wasn't that bad because I think it was quite clear what the castle was, what the background was, and even with the background you could see the letters, which helps because then you can see which direction the pieces were turned. Definitely one of the easier puzzles I've done. The only thing I would say is probably the bottom section with the rock. That was definitely the hardest part of this puzzle. If you can even say it was hard, it was not a hard puzzle. So yeah, moving on to the next one. The next puzzle is also a 500-piece puzzle, and this one is by Ravensburger and the title is Waldorf, Astoria Hotel, New York, 1930. Based on the quality and the picture, I would definitely say if this puzzle was in colour, it would be easier than the Harry Potter I just showed you. This one was actually my first black and white puzzle and I wasn't sure how to feel about it because, you know, colours help so much when putting the puzzle together, and with this one it was basically just white, grey and black. These black sections, the darker ones, they were a bit easier to put together, you know, so it wasn't too bad putting it together, but then once I finished with the buildings, that sky was just something else. So I think this is definitely something that made this puzzle quite a bit harder, but again because of the piece count it still falls into the easy pile. But if this was a 1000-piece puzzle, I would probably say it would go into the hard pile because that would be like half of the puzzle just white sky. So yeah, I'm glad it's just a 500-piece puzzle. The last puzzle in the easy pile is actually the one that was the hardest puzzle of my last rating by difficulty video. So maybe you wonder how it ended up here. It's because I put it together incorrectly. It's a 1000-piece puzzle by Playtime Puzzle and the title of this one is Cheetah Family. This puzzle basically has all ribbon grit cut pieces. So after doing the frame and having many misfits, I basically decided to give up on this puzzle, put it under my bed and never wanted to see it again. And then Donna Louise, who has her own channel for the love of puzzles, suggested that maybe I could just put this puzzle together incorrectly on purpose. And I did that, and it was actually the quickest 1000-piece puzzle I put together. So yeah, an easy pile. This is a little bit of a joke to put it here, because it's definitely still the hardest puzzle if I try to do it the right way. But the way I did it, it was quite easy and enjoyable. It's time to move on to the medium pile. So I don't have all the puzzles with me anymore. The easy pile was the only one that actually had all the puzzles. So the puzzles that I don't have, I'm still gonna show you pictures of them and videos of them, so don't worry, you will be able to see them. So let's move on to the first puzzle of this pile. It's a 1000-piece puzzle by Trefl, and the title of this one is Gradient. This was my first gradient puzzle, and I thought it's actually gonna be really easy, because I've heard many people say that gradient puzzles are really easy, but this one had a little bit of a picture on it. I think someone commented that they call this particular puzzle gradient sticks, because it's got like sticks flying out, and that definitely made the puzzle a little bit harder. I think if this was just a plain gradient puzzle, it would probably end up in the easy pile, but because it was a little bit more complicated, that's why it ended up in the medium pile. It took me between 4.5 to 5 hours, which I think is a good time for a 1000-piece puzzle. It also has all of the different shapes of the puzzle, which always helps and definitely makes it a bit easier. That's why it ended up the first on the medium pile. The second one on the medium pile I also don't have, but it's a 1000-piece puzzle by Schmidt, and the title of this one is Movies Forever. It took me 4.5 hours to do this puzzle, and the same as with gradient puzzle, this one too had all different shapes. One thing that made this puzzle easier was basically the fact that the bottom section, where it says Movies Forever, was also a part of the puzzle, because then it basically took like quarter of a puzzle away, and then you had the rest of the puzzle left for the picture. The reason why it's a bit harder than the gradient puzzle is because of the colors. I actually thought that the background is going to be the hardest one, but it had quite a clear gradient to it, which was a lot easier to solve than I thought. The hardest part of this puzzle were basically the people, which I did not expect, because I thought, well, you've got color here, it's going to be easier. Well, I was wrong. So that's definitely something that made this puzzle a bit harder for me. The next puzzle on my list is another 1000-piece puzzle. All of the puzzles in the medium pile are a 1000-piece puzzle. This one is by Ravensburger, and the title of this one is Sweet Temptation, and it's from Gloss Effect collection. This puzzle, based on the picture, it should definitely end up in the hard pile, because it was really hard not to eat anything when I was putting it together. The picture itself was really easy to put together because it's really clear what's what. What I thought was going to be the hardest part here is basically all the chocolates, because they're all brown. Well, the majority of them are brown, but because the puzzle is so large, when you're putting it together, it's quite easy to see the texture of the chocolates. So it wasn't that difficult to actually know which ones go together. So it was definitely one of the more enjoyable puzzles I put together. And also all of the chocolates have the gloss effects on them, which was really nice when the puzzle was assembled. The next one on the list is actually 1040 pieces, so I got that one wrong. They're not all 1000-piece puzzles. It's a spiral puzzle by Trefl, and the title of this one is Magic Bay. And it's a really easy puzzle. All the colors made it so much easier to put together, because obviously you've got all the gradient here. The houses were actually a lot harder than I expected, because I always think that the darker sections of the puzzle are gonna be the hardest. But when you have the entire section of yellow tiny houses, it's a lot more complicated than you'd think. What I really like about this puzzle is because it's spiral, it's got quite a few very uniquely shaped pieces. This one was kind of like preparation for the crypt puzzle, because, you know, it's got the same principle. It's got spiral in the middle and it's got square around it. But because the picture was so easy to follow, I don't think it helped at all to get ready for the crypt puzzle. So, yeah, I'm still dreading that one. But the time will come when I, get some courage and pull that puzzle out of the cupboard. I promise it's definitely happening next year. Another Ravensburger puzzle next, and this one is also a 1000-piece puzzle, and the title of this one is Windmill Country. I remember doing this puzzle because I was ill and I think I did like 4 puzzles in a row, and this one was the first out of the 4, and it was really enjoyable. I just had the tea on one side, I had my legs up on the sofa, the board on top of my lap, and just enjoyed putting it together whilst having the TV on in the background. So it was a really fun puzzle to put together. It's got a lot of very clear sections, so it didn't feel like putting a 1000-piece puzzle together because I was just doing one section at a time. One thing that made this puzzle quite a lot harder is basically the house section, because there was so many, I don't know what this plant is called, but it was quite dark and you couldn't really see what goes where. So it was more of a search for the right shape as opposed to, you know, follow the picture, if you know what I mean. The next puzzle is a Slovenian puzzle, well, a Slovenian picture on the puzzle, and I still to this day do not know exactly what the brand is of this puzzle, because I know it just says puzzle on it, but I think in the back it was like Innovakids or something like that. So yeah, basically another 1000-piece puzzle, and the title of this one is Grad, Otočec. I thought in the beginning it's gonna be quite easy because obviously half of the puzzle was separated because it was the water. And every time you have those types of puzzle, it kind of helps when putting the puzzle together, because you can see which pieces are water and which ones are just the actual picture of, I don't know how to say it. I thought because of it, it's gonna make it a lot easier. But there was basically just like trees and more trees and water. So that's why it ended up where it is. Second to last in the medium pile, because there was, I don't like trees, we know that. We have learned that by now. Like the other day I went to the flea market and the guy was trying to sell me a 1500-piece puzzle that was basically 2/3 covered in trees, and there was no way on earth I would be buying that puzzle, because 1500-piece puzzle, 2/3 trees, it would just kill me. So thanks, but no thanks. I definitely did not buy it. Enough chit chat, moving on to the last puzzle of the medium pile, and this one I actually have. It's a 1000-piece puzzle by Ravensburger, and the title of this one is Ayers Rock, Australia. This one is a part of Beautiful Places, and I actually just did this one, so I don't know if you've seen the video. It was really enjoyable to put together. Well, sort of. The top section was really enjoyable to put together, let's put it that way. And then the bottom section was quite a bit of, yeah, it was interesting. I basically had to scrap the sorting I've done, and I just did the shape sorting instead. And once I did that, it was a bit easier, but oh my god. There was like a point when I just stared at this puzzle for 10 minutes. And I just wondered why I even started it. Obviously there had to be a reason that it ended up last on the medium pile, but this top section was so much easier, so that's why it still ended up in the medium pile. So moving on to the hard pile, which is the last pile of today's video. Thankfully, because we wouldn't want an extra hard pile, even though one of the puzzles could technically go there. But anyway, the last pile of today's video. And the first puzzle I don't have with me, but it's a 1000-piece puzzle by Ravensburger, and the title of this one is London. Normally with some of the puzzles I really struggle with the sky, but funnily enough with this puzzle, the sky was the first thing that was done and the easiest thing that was done. The picture of the puzzle is not really that complicated, and it's Ravensburger as well, which means that the quality is good, the pieces are uniquely shaped enough, you don't get misfits and stuff, but still, it was basically all grey. And that was the thing that made this quite difficult. The good thing about it is that basically because the picture is so much bigger, it helped a little bit to at least tell some of the differences. So that's why it's the first one in the hard pile. The second puzzle in this pile is here, not because of the picture, not because of the shape of the oh no, that's not true. It is because of the shape of the pieces as well. The main reason why this puzzle is here is because of the size. It's a 1000-piece puzzle by Cheetah, and the title of this one is Colosseum Rome. And the reason why this puzzle is where it is because it's the world's smallest. This was less than half the size of a normal 1000-piece puzzle, and that's what's made it as difficult as it is. Also, another thing that made it really difficult is the shape of the pieces, because they were all ribbon grit cut, but what made it easier was the vertical pieces were a bit more elongated and then the horizontal pieces were wider. The sky was quite easy to put together, the clouds as well, the grass and all the pathway and the people, because again, when you have people, you know which direction the piece has to be turned, which always helps, you know. I'm never gonna say no to knowing the direction the piece has to be turned in. with the Colosseum. That was something. Regardless of the fact that I knew which pieces were horizontal and which ones were vertical, this took me so long to complete. It took me 5.5 hours, which I think is still a good time for a 1,000-piece puzzle. But I would definitely say if this one was normal sized and didn't have all of the pieces ribbon grit cut, it would end up in the medium pile, because the picture itself is not actually that hard. The next puzzle on my list is another 1,000-piece puzzle by Clementoni, and the title of this one is Vega. So it's a fluorescent puzzle. It was really enjoyable. No, I'm not gonna say that. It was not that enjoyable. It's in the hard pile. So at first I thought it's gonna be really enjoyable because the picture is quite, you know, colourful and bright. It seemed like it has quite a lot of different sections, but when I actually started to put it together, it wasn't that easy to know where something goes, and not even to mention that like more than half of the puzzle was just blue. That definitely didn't help, but the quality of the puzzle was still good. At some points, even the glow-in-the-dark bit helped me put the puzzle together. There was no line on the actual picture itself, so I just followed the texture and it helped me finish the puzzle as well, so that was definitely a plus. Another prime 3D puzzle on my list. This one has 1,036 pieces and it's from Day to Night collection, and the title of this one is Eiffel Tower, Paris. The Canada Day, which was also a part of Day to Night collection, ended up in the hard pile in my last rating by difficulty video as well, because what makes this puzzle really difficult is basically that the Day to Night goes from the bottom to the top and you just end up having a black sky. I definitely have to say that the Paris one was way easier than the Canada Day one, because the sky was ever so slightly lighter that you could see the differences and you could maybe like see a cloud and, you know, something. But when I finished the puzzle, because the rest of the puzzle was like simple, and then when I came to the sky, I genuinely thought that I'm not gonna be able to finish it, because the Canada Day, I think we were doing it 4 days in a row with my sister. But actually when I was putting it together, it was not that bad. It was still quite difficult, I'm not gonna lie. I would much prefer to just have normal sky or even gradient sky, like, you know, the Venice one in the same Day to Night collection. There's definitely a reason that this puzzle is as far as it is on my list. Another 1,000-piece puzzle on my list from B Puzzle, and the title of this one is Glenmore Haunting. We solved this one with my sister, but before we got to the fun part, I basically had to solve this puzzle on my own. More than half of the puzzle is this color, purpley/bluey, and it was more of like a texture puzzle than a color puzzle, because you could see different textures, and it doesn't come with a picture. So after about 3 hours of working on this puzzle, I decided I'm gonna look for a picture, and I found one, and the picture didn't actually match the frame that I had, so I was missing a bit of a bottom section of the puzzle. But it wasn't a big deal. It still helped a lot because, you know, it just at least gave me a direction in which I had to put the puzzle together. So this puzzle took me 7 hours to complete, which is a lot for me. I'm used to do them in normally around 5 hours, like 6 hours is already a difficult puzzle for me. That's why I said earlier we could have like an extra hard pile. This one could be in it. The one thing that helped me with this puzzle is it had a specific pattern, so that made it a lot easier, because once you get a gist of how the puzzle works, it was quite easy to just keep working on it. Otherwise it would probably take me like 8 hours. Yeah. The next puzzle that took me 8 hours to complete is actually a 500-piece puzzle, and this one is the $2 million puzzle by Mischief. This was a challenge, to say the least. If you've seen the video of me putting this puzzle together, it was basically, I think it took me about 40 minutes to do the frame, which is, you know, completely normal, because it normally takes me 15 minutes to do a 1,000-piece puzzle frame. So why not just take 40 minutes to do a 500-piece frame? It makes complete sense. If any of you don't know what the point of the puzzle is, it's basically like a lottery ticket. So you get a QR code, you scan it, and then you have to put like your unique codes that you get in the box, and then you can win up to $1 million. Based on the quality, I'd say is one of the worst puzzles I've done. It's still better than Cheetah puzzle, because at least it didn't have all ribbon grid cut pieces, which, you know, obviously makes it a lot easier. And what the problem is with this one, so you don't have the picture that helps you solve the puzzle, and then you get misfits, and it's just like, that should never be together. So if you're planning to have misfits, at least give us the picture to go with it, or just don't have misfits, ideally. So this puzzle, after about, I think, 4 hours, I realized that I'm not gonna get far with it. So I printed a picture of a completed puzzle, and I just basically puzzle mapped all the way through, because otherwise this puzzle, I don't think I would ever finish it. One person even put on Facebook that I think it took them 42 hours to complete the puzzle, and I understand why, because it could quite easily take me as long if I didn't have the puzzle map to go from. So I've noticed with myself that the more puzzles I do, the more picky I'm getting when doing the puzzles. There are some of the puzzles that I don't even buy anymore, like for instance the one that I said, the 1500 piece puzzle. Probably a year ago I would buy it if the price was good, but today I'm just like, nah. I know I can get more enjoyable puzzles online. It's just one of the things that I think you just learn as you go. And the more you puzzle, the more you learn about what feels good for you, what do you enjoy most. So let me know, what are your preferences when doing the puzzle? I would love to know, because I would like to see the different tastes that we have. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click the like button below, and also don't forget to check the other video I did rating the puzzles by difficulty. Bye!